It's 3 a.m. Your eyes snap open, and your brain suddenly feels like it has a full-time job. You check the clock, you sigh, and you wonder why this keeps happening. Here's the important part. Waking at the same time most nights usually isn't random. It often reflects a pattern in your sleep cycles, your stress hormones, or something about your evening routine. And the fix is rarely one magic trick. It's usually a few small adjustments that reduce sleep friction at the exact time your body is most vulnerable to waking. Over the next minutes, we'll map the most common reasons people wake around 3 a.m. Then, we'll match each reason with practical steps that are low risk and easy to test. You'll also learn when this pattern is a normal blip and when it's a signal worth taking seriously. Let's start with what's actually happening in your body around that hour. Moving to slide 2. Sleep isn't one long, steady state. It moves in cycles, roughly 90 minutes, shifting between lighter and deeper stages. Around the middle of the night, many people naturally drift into lighter sleep more often. That means you're easier to wake up from a sound, a temperature change, a full bladder, or a thought that grabs attention. If your body is already a little on edge, those lighter phases can turn into a consistent 3 a.m. wake-up. The key idea is this: waking briefly can be normal. The problem is when you fully come online and can't return to sleep. So one goal is reducing triggers that wake you. The other goal is changing what you do in the first 2 minutes after waking, because that's when you either settle back down or accidentally train your brain to stay alert. Next, let's talk about the hormone pattern that often peaks at exactly the wrong time. Moving to slide 3. One of the biggest drivers of a 3 a.m. wake-up is a stress response that's slightly mistimed. Your body follows a daily rhythm of cortisol, a hormone involved in alertness and energy. Cortisol is supposed to rise toward morning to help you wake up. But if your system is under stress, that rise can happen earlier or come in sharper pulses. When that happens, you may wake with a racing mind, a faster heartbeat, or a sense that something is off, even if nothing is. This doesn't mean you're broken. It means your body is trying to protect you, just at the wrong hour. What might help is lowering overall stress load, but also creating a strong downshift signal at night. Think consistent wind down, lower light, and fewer stimulating inputs. In a moment, I'll give you a simple 10-minute routine that many people find calming. First, we should cover a very common, very fixable trigger. Moving to slide 4. For some people, 3 a.m. is when blood sugar dips enough to trigger an alerting response. Your brain runs on glucose, and it doesn't like sudden drops. If you eat a very sugary dessert, drink sweet beverages, or have a late meal that's heavy on refined carbs, your blood sugar can rise and then fall later. That drop can nudge stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol upward, and that can wake you. You might notice this if you wake up hungry, shaky, or with a wired feeling. What might help is making dinner more balanced. Protein, fiber, and healthy fats tend to slow digestion and smooth the curve. Also consider timing. A huge meal right before bed can backfire, but going to bed overly hungry can too. If you want a simple experiment, try a week of a steady, earlier dinner and see if the wake-ups change. Next, let's talk about caffeine, because it can hide in your system longer than you think. Moving to slide 5. Caffeine is sneaky because it doesn't just affect falling asleep, it can affect staying asleep. The half-life of caffeine is often around 5 to 6 hours, and for some people, it's longer. That means an afternoon coffee can still be active in your system at 3 a.m., especially if you're sensitive, stressed, or not sleeping enough. Caffeine also increases lighter sleep for some people, which makes those midnight awakenings more likely. What might help is a clean cutoff time. Many people do better stopping caffeine 8 to 10 hours before bed. Another clue is inconsistency. If you have caffeine only on some days, your sleep can feel unpredictable. If you want a practical test, keep everything the same for a week and only move your last caffeine earlier. Don't change 5 things at once, or you won't know what worked. Next, we'll cover alcohol-free hydration and the 3 a.m. bathroom run, which is a huge cause of broken sleep. Moving to slide 6. Waking at 3 a.m. to pee is more common than people admit, and it can become a habit loop. If you wake for any reason, you might think, I should go now, and that reinforces the pattern. But there are also real physical drivers. Drinking a lot of water late, having salty food at night, or certain bladder irritants like caffeine can increase nighttime urination. What might help is shifting most fluids earlier in the day, then tapering in the last 2 hours before bed. You still want to be hydrated, just not playing catch-up at night. Also, keep the bathroom trip as boring as possible. Low light, no phone, no checking the time. The goal is to avoid telling your brain it's morning. If you suspect sleep apnea, frequent bathroom wake-ups can also be a clue, because breathing disruptions can trigger stress responses. Next, let's talk about temperature, because a small change in your room can make 3 a.m. much more likely. Moving to slide 7. Your body temperature naturally drops as you fall asleep, then gradually rises toward morning. Around 3 a.m., even a small mismatch, too warm, too cold, too dry, can push you into lighter sleep and wake you. Overheating is especially common with heavy bedding, a warm room, or certain fabrics that trap heat. What might help is aiming for a cooler room and using layers you can adjust. Think breathable blanket plus an extra layer you can remove, instead of one heavy comforter. Also consider airflow and humidity. Very dry air can irritate your nose and throat, and that can fragment sleep. If you wake up with a dry mouth, that's a clue to explore. Another simple test is to warm your feet slightly before bed, because that can help your body shed heat and settle. Next, we'll tackle light, because even tiny amounts can tell your brain it's time to be awake. Moving to slide 8. Light is a powerful signal to your circadian rhythm, your internal clock. Even small amounts at night can reduce melatonin, the hormone that helps your body stay in sleep mode. The most common culprits are hallway light leaking under a door, a bright charger LED, or checking your phone when you wake. At 3 a.m., your brain is already close to lighter sleep, so that light can push you over the edge into full alertness. What might help is making your bedroom truly dark. Use blackout curtains if needed, cover tiny LEDs, and consider a sleep mask if it's comfortable. If you do wake up, avoid bright light for at least a few minutes. And if you need to get up, use a very dim, warm light. Your goal is to keep your brain in night mode. Next, we'll talk about the mental side, because rumination is one of the biggest reasons a brief wake becomes a long one. Moving to slide 9. There's a specific kind of thinking that loves 3 a.m. It's repetitive, urgent, and weirdly convincing. Your brain starts problem-solving, replaying conversations, or scanning the future for threats. This is called rumination, and it's more likely when you're tired, because your emotional brain is louder and your rational brain is quieter. What might help is giving your mind a safe place to park those thoughts before bed. A simple approach is a 2-column note. On the left, the worry in one sentence. On the right, the next tiny action you can take tomorrow. That turns vague anxiety into a plan, which often reduces the need to rehearse it at night. If you wake up, try a neutral phrase like, "Not now, morning." Then return to a boring focus, like slow breathing or counting. Next, we'll cover breathing and airway issues, because they can cause a sudden 3 a.m. jolt, even if you don't remember struggling to breathe. Moving to slide 10. Breathing disruptions are an underappreciated cause of middle-of-the-night wake-ups. If your airway narrows during sleep, your body may briefly jolt you awake to restore normal breathing. You might not remember gasping. You may just wake up suddenly, feel alert, or need to use the bathroom. Common clues include loud snoring, waking with a dry mouth, morning headaches, or feeling unrefreshed, even after enough hours. This is one area where it's worth being proactive, because sleep-disordered breathing can affect more than sleep quality. What might help on the lifestyle side is side sleeping, keeping nasal passages comfortable, and addressing congestion triggers in your room, like dust or very dry air. But if the clues fit, the most helpful step is discussing it with a clinician who can evaluate for sleep apnea. Next, we'll talk about reflux and digestion, because for some people, 3 a.m. is when the body pushes back against a heavy or irritating late meal. Moving to slide 11. Acid reflux and digestion issues can wake you in the middle of the night, especially if you lie down soon after eating. When stomach contents move upward, your throat can get irritated, and your body may wake you to swallow or change position. Sometimes it feels like a cough, a tight chest sensation, or a sour taste. Sometimes it's just sudden wakefulness. What might help is spacing your last larger meal earlier and keeping late snacks small and gentle. Also look at common triggers. Very spicy foods, high-fat meals, and large portions can be issues for some people. Elevating the head of the bed slightly can help some sleepers, because gravity becomes your friend. If reflux symptoms are frequent, it's worth discussing with a clinician, because persistent irritation deserves attention. Next, we'll cover something that sounds simple but matters a lot: your clock-checking habit, and how it trains your brain to wake at the same time. Moving to slide 12. If you wake up and immediately check the time, your brain starts building an association. Wake equals 3 a.m. equals danger. The danger might be thoughts like, "I'll be wrecked tomorrow," or "Here we go again." That anxiety becomes arousing, and arousal keeps you awake. Over time, your brain can learn to wake at that time because it expects the routine. What might help is breaking the loop. Turn the clock away. Keep your phone out of reach. And if you wake, don't start negotiating with sleep. Use a simple rule: stay in low stimulation for 10 minutes. Slow breathing, a body scan, or listening to a quiet, non-engaging sound can help. If you're still wide awake after a while, it can help to get up briefly and do something boring in dim light, then return to bed when sleepy. Next, I'll give you a practical step-by-step 3 a.m. protocol you can try tonight without overthinking it. Moving to slide 13. Here's a simple 3 a.m. protocol that keeps you calm and keeps your brain in night mode. Step 1. Don't check the time. If you already did, let it go and move on. Step 2. Relax the body first. Unclench your jaw, drop your shoulders, and exhale a little longer than you inhale for 10 slow breaths. Step 3. Choose one boring focus, counting backward by ones, repeating a neutral word, or scanning attention from toes to head works well. Step 4. If thoughts show up, label them planning or worry, and return to the boring focus. Step 5. If you're still alert after about 20 to 30 minutes, get out of bed briefly. Keep the light dim and warm, and do something non-stimulating, like reading a few pages of a calm book. Then return to bed when sleepiness returns. This isn't about forcing sleep. It's about removing fuel from the wake-up. Now let's pull it all together with a short checklist. Plus, when it's smart to get extra help. Moving to slide 14. If you keep waking at 3 a.m., think in layers, not labels. Layer 1 is environment, darkness, temperature, noise, and air dryness. Layer 2 is inputs, caffeine timing, late meals, sugar swings, and fluid timing. Layer 3 is physiology, stress load, breathing disruptions, reflux, and pain. Layer 4 is behavior, clock checking, and what you do in the first minutes after waking. A good approach is to pick one layer per week and test one change at a time. That way you get real feedback instead of guessing. Also, watch for red flags. Loud snoring with daytime sleepiness, waking with choking sensations, frequent morning headaches, or persistent insomnia for weeks are good reasons to talk with a clinician. One more thing, if you're going through a high-stress period, 3 a.m. wake-ups can be a normal stress signal, not a personal failure. If you want, leave a comment with your pattern. Do you wake up feeling wired, or mostly calm but annoyed? A or B? And if you'd like more practical sleep breakdowns like this, subscribe. This information is not a substitute for medical advice. Your biology is programmable. Learn the signals.